Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, guys. My name's Gabriel. I'm from Birmingham in the UK.
And I am Emily from Cambridge in the UK. And we are both at the Ponte Lungo School in Rome. Okay.
Gonna be looking at seasons today and the change of seasons.
Yeah.
Starting to get warm these days. Thank goodness. Something to look forward to. Something to enjoy. I see people sunbathing on balconies already. So.
Oh, I wish I had a balcony to sunbathe on. Yeah.
Some people opposite me are willing to go to real extremes to sunbathe as well. They'll sit on the wall on like a fourth story, just no protection.
Just for the last bits of sun.
Yeah, exactly. Some real daring.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to be looking at descriptive language in general, similes and metaphors, and using our different senses.
Yeah, so this is really a creative writing focus.
Mm.
Lots of thinking about using interesting language. What is your favorite season and why? So you can ignore this. You don't have to write a paragraph, but just a couple of sentences to answer this question to the students, but also to Gabe. What is your favorite season and why?
My favorite season is spring. So about now, really. April, May, probably specifically. I like the change. I like seasons in which there's a lot of physical and kind of climate change, and some not climate change, but kind of ecological, where the ecological cycle is most visible in a way. I like spring and I like autumn, but I like spring because it's kind of the nicer one, isn't it? It's more about rebirth than things are getting warmer rather than getting colder. So I like spring most.
Yeah.
What is your favorite season and why?
My favorite season might be autumn. Well, I mean, if I'm completely honest, my favorite season is usually the next season. It's whatever comes next. So if it's
That's
spring,
true.
my favorite season is summer, and when it's autumn, my favorite season is winter. Because I'm just always impatient with whatever we've got now.
You've got to live in the moment, man. That's a good point, though. Actually, yeah, it's. Can you imagine living in a place where there was very little seasonal change in some way?
Yeah. Well, even in Italy, I miss. There are definitely seasons in Italy, but
they aren't as pronounced as are they? I mean, the hotter end of things obviously is incredibly hot, especially around here. And I'm pretty scared of the kind of August weather that is typical. But in Italy, there isn't quite so much you don't get the cold bits quite.
It's almost
that's not true though, because in parts of the north, that's not true.
Oh,
in parts of the north, you massively do.
True.
And around the north, you massively do. So actually, I take back what I said. It depends where you are. We're in Rome, so I guess we're analysing the seasonal change here, which is not so extreme.
And I lived for a year and a half until September in Palermo in Sicily, which is further south, and the seasons are even less distinct, I think, than in Rome. In Palermo, there were only really 2 seasons. There's a long summer and a long autumny, wintry, springy season where things are just kind of drab.
Yes, I went to Syracuse in one time in August and then one time in January. In August, it was insanely hot. In January, it was still t-shirt weather for me. so yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Hi, Sina.
Sina from Bologna. We've had you on before. What's your favorite season, Sina? And why?
Yeah, but I don't think I could live permanently in a place that really doesn't have seasons. My mum grew up in Hong Kong, and she said one of her favorite things about the UK compared to Hong Kong is the fact that in the UK we have seasons, whereas in Hong Kong they don't really have seasons. It's just hot.
I don't often sing the praises of British weather, but you do get you do get a lot of variation in a way. I think you get the range. You get the full range of.
Sometimes even within one day, you get the full range.
That's true. Yeah, you get the full range. I think you get a lot of wet. It's true.
But it just helps you appreciate the sun all the more.
It's true. That's why when you see British people on holiday, they always look extra idiotic because they're just enjoying that little bit of sun.
Yeah. It's amazing. There are those first few hot days of the year in the UK. The supermarkets are packed with people buying barbecue food, and it doesn't even have to be hot, really. It just has to be the first non-wintry, non-spring, cool spring day. The first opportunity people have, and everyone goes to the supermarket and buys Pims and
barbecue material
and burgers. Yeah. So, Sina.
I really like cold and windy days. I know it sounds crazy. No, not at all.
I love windy days. When I'm inside and I can hear the wind outside, it's great.
Or when you go outside and you're kind of wrapped up warm, but it's you have the cold, you have a fierce cold on your face. And you're walking around, you kind of build up a resistance to the cold. No, I love that as well. Yeah,
but proper cold.
Yeah.
Like cold. That is great. Yeah.
There's a long period in UK weather where it's not cold enough quite to snow, but the clouds are really you still get a lot of grey. So you don't get snow, you don't get rain, you get what we call sleet, which is like this kind of icy, watery snow. And it's the most unpleasant feeling to get a face full of sleet.
That is the worst weather
down the back of your neck.
All the weather.
Because it's not. If you lived in a really cold country, you just get the snow, and it's just that. If you live slightly in a warmer place, you just get rain. It's just that in between, which is gross.
Yeah, because it's kind of as cold as snow, but it makes you wet, so it end up being so cold and uncomfortable because this wet mush is hitting you and immediately drenching you with freezing gunk. Okay. I'm I'm not sure what Sina means by deep. Did you say deep cold, maybe?
Did I say deep cold?
I'm just trying to random. I'm not sure what Sina means by deep here.
What do you mean by deep there? Yeah. Deep can mean a lot of things in English.
Yeah.
It can also mean really, really philosophical, or
Yeah.
it could mean in a sarcastic way, not philosophical at all.
Yeah. So anybody else, apart from Sina, have a favourite season? How cold does it get in Bologna, Sina? I imagine not that cold because it's
not so.
it's not very
central
cold.
Emilia Romagna,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's not so far north that it's like.
No, it's on the peninsula, I think, isn't it? Bologna's
Yeah.
just kind of on the peninsula. And it's inland as well, so.
Philosophical, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Should we go forward?
Yeah.
We've got some reading. I think there's going to be, okay. Well, that's easy enough. Find 3 new words in the text. I'm sure there's some vocab that we can talk about in here.
Okay. Should we do some reading in turns?
Yeah. Do you want to go to snowman?
Yeah. Okay. So the first sure sign of winter in the north is a dusting of frost that envelops everything in sight, making the world seem as delicate as crystal. Soon after, a deep chill settles in, a cold you can feel right down to your bones. It is a cold that numbs fingers and makes you want to sit near a roaring fire. To combat the cold, people shuffle around in gigantic parkas and snowsuits that make the wearer look like a clumsy, abominable snowman.
The next thing to arrive is the snow. It starts out as tiny particles floating on the icy breeze. The flakes cling to your eyelashes, causing them to stick together. Eventually, the snow becomes a thick white blanket covering the land. The falling snow seems to muffle faraway noises, making you feel like you are alone in the world. At the same time, it magnifies sounds from nearby, so that if you listen closely, you can hear the snowflakes touching ground or the smallest animals scurrying under the snowdrifts. Okay. So, and Sina has
I have an
said,
answer on Bologna. Bologna isn't too cold. It's sunny and windy.
and generally good weather.
Temperate weather, isn't it? Yeah.
So what could be some tricky vocab in there?
3 new words in the text, or any new words that aren't known.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Sina for this focus.
Yeah.
We're only interacting, so we need you to answer all of the questions. It's quite creative, descriptive language, but I think it's not that complex.
No, vocabulary-wise. I mean, there's things like, but I mean, contextually, they're probably quite obvious in some ways what can be made of them.
What does it mean to muffle, Sina? quite a good verb, to muffle. I think you can only muffle a sound, can't you? I was just thinking about smells, and I think you can only muffle
or the ability to produce sound as well. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But you can like muffle a voice, the kind of the instrument to, but it is, it's sound. Sorry.
You could muffle a microphone, couldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, that's probably revealed what it is, I think.
Well, that's okay. I think you can kind of tell from the context anyway.
And the next sentence as well should.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we kind of, to cover.
To cover it good.
To cover, yeah, absolutely.
And not make, to make it red.
To make it red.
I'm not sure what you mean by make it red. Not red in terms of the colour. But to cover is good. So you muffle a sound if you put something over and then that sort of thing.
Exactly like that. Yeah, to cover over is really good. What about what does scurry mean?
Oh, that's nice.
It's a good word as well. We have it in the last sentence here. The smallest animal scurrying under the snow drifts. What does scurry mean?
Did you hear me blow my nose just then?
No, but I was sniffing myself, so.
I muted my microphone, but I didn't feel confident that it had worked. So I was worried you got a big nose blow noise.
I wonder if there's something about the caffeine, the high caffeine content, that also releases, I don't know, in some ways thins your sinuses out.
I think caffeine usually fixes the situation.
You think?
I think usually it just takes one coffee to get rid of the sleepy sniffles. But today it took
the sleepy sniffles. I want a scientific paper, Emily, to back that up. A scientific paper, and then I'll completely consent.
One. I'm sure it exists. The scientific paper, I mean.
I was thinking though, with relation to that thing about light triggering the instinct to sneeze, potentially maybe there's a link there with blue light waking up your urge to sneeze as well, and your urge to sniff too.
But I get this all the time. When I come into work, until I've had a coffee, I'm always sniffling.
Yeah, but it could be, that's what I'm saying, it could be the exposure to blue light too, in some way. Oh, here we go. Hang on, we have an answer from Simile on, like, to slide. You could, In this case, under snowdrifts, it could be a little bit to slide. Scurry. It has a more general sense, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it's really to slide.
It's not to slide generally. In this case, potentially, if you're sliding under snowdrifts, but
I think if you're sliding, you're not scurrying, though.
do you think scurrying implies quick legs?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a quickness with the.
That's scurrying.
I think that might be the difference. If you slide, you're not really using your legs, whereas I think scurrying is to do something in a.
Yeah, to scurry is what a mouse does when it runs. I think humans can't really scurry.
I think humans figuratively can scurry, but we usually use them to talk about animals. So if you ever say a human is scurrying, you're using slightly metaphorical or figurative language to mean that the human is like a kind of animal in some way. Yeah.
So scurrying under the snowdrifts. So animals in the snow do, small animals, mice do run around inside the snow. I don't know if you've seen those videos of the way foxes catch prey in the snow. They have such good ears and they're very light. So they stand on top of the snow and they don't sink, but they just stand. And they hear when there's an animal underneath the snow. And there are these amazing videos of them suddenly, they jump and they dive straight into the snow on top of where the animal is underneath. So, Sina, if there was any other vocab that you want to... Okay, one more verb, which I think you can kind of understand from the context. Cling. To cling. What does that mean? So we've got in the middle of the text, the flakes cling to your eyelashes, causing them to stick together. I'm gonna show myself pouring the water because otherwise it sounds a bit weird.
It's
tinkle, tinkle.
It didn't sound weird until you said that. I would have just assumed you were pouring water.
Well, I hope you still would.
Now, you've put the thought into my mind that you might be doing other things.
I always think of it because I've heard people on podcasts talking about what it sounds like when you pour water, so I can't do it without it coming to my mind. Sina, to cling. You may already have written a response and we just have this delay in receiving the message. I'm also curious about what Sina's YouTube name means.
Yes,
Pills,
that's true. Actually, that's
Gogo.
pills.
Who is Gogo? And what is the big deal with Gogo's pills?
They are excellent.
High, top quality stuff. Oh, I'm going to mute myself again for a sec.
It's all the better as a silent show, a silent comedy.
There we go. I wonder if Sina has an opinion about the verb to cling.
I think there is a bit of a delay between us and comments, a significant delay on this one, guys. We could you could bring up the next just the next line underneath, just so that in case
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
is already written something that we can
find
to the next.
2 similes in the text. Well, we need to know what is a simile first. Gabe, what is a simile?
A simile is a comparison between two ideas or objects, in a way, a descriptive comparison. So there's often a couple of stock phrases that we use for similes. I'm not going to say because
okay,
that will give the game away.
Yeah, I mean, I would have asked Sina what a simile was, and for the stock phrases. But if we've got this big delay, then I don't want to.
No, exactly.
I think it would take too much time. So, Sina, what does it mean to cling? And also any other students who can respond to us, that would be great as well. And 2 similes in the text here.
In trying to distinguish it from a metaphor as well, it's a little bit tricky not using the language that is going to give the game away as well.
Yeah.
This is what's nice about winter as well. I think it's ideal that we have a passage about winter, because winter is an incredibly atmospheric season.
Especially when it snows.
Yeah. I think we may have.
Yeah, we may have lost Sina.
I don't know.
So maybe you and I should just go through.
Yeah. Why don't we? Can you pick out one of the similes for us, Emily?
Yes, I can. So the first simile is in the first sentence. We have making the world seem as delicate as crystal. So as is one of these stock simile phrases that we use. If you ever see as in this figurative, descriptive context, that's a simile. So the snowy world is as delicate as crystal. And good. That translates fairly directly into Italian, delicate and crystal. So I think that's the sense of that is probably pretty clear. Can you see another simile, Gabe?
Yeah, and so the other stock phrase which we might use, or word in this instance, is like. So in the, I think it's the fourth sentence, people shuffle around in gigantic parkas and snowsuits that make the wearer look like a clumsy, abominable snowman. So we have this word like, which is a great descriptive indicator to indicate that the wearer looks similar to, figuratively, a clumsy, abominable snowman.
I wonder if the abominable snowman, I wonder if that's clear in Italian. Because it probably translates, it doesn't mean that they would use that term to refer to the same
it's true.
Creature.
But abominabile.
But maybe if they use that, that might not be the title in Italian. Because it is a bit of a strange title.
It's also an American. Isn't it? Hang on, I'm just reversoing it.
Okay.
Abominevole uomo delle nevi. It's effectively very similar.
Okay.
I think it's effectively
the abominable man of the snow.
The abominable man of the snow.
But is that might just be a literal translation?
I don't know. On Reverso, it says there are quite a few instances of it appearing in text.
Okay, cool. That's good then. The Yeti, it's the same thing as the Yeti, isn't it?
Yeah, but I feel like Yeti might be
more particular.
Oh no, Yeti's the same.
Okay.
So it's a Yeti, guys. For anyone watching. But I don't know, but I think if you put Yeti in this instance, look like a clumsy Yeti, it doesn't give the same sense of because it's trying to keep this snowman image of of rolls of layers of clothing. I think if you put Yeti
it sounds a bit more like you're making fun of someone if you say you look like a clumsy Yeti.
It does.
Okay, cool. And we could swap, so these two phrases, as, and like, we could say making the world seem delicate like crystal, or as delicate as crystal, and we could say making the wearer look as clumsy as an abominable snowman. So you could kind of swap those two structures. All right, well, there we go.
Moving on to metaphor. What's a metaphor? Okay. What's a metaphor, Emily?
A metaphor is very similar to a simile, but we don't have these phrases as or like. So you kind of draw a figurative comparison again, but you just say, this is that. So the world is crystal, or the making the wearer
is a clumsy, abominable snowman. Yeah.
There are lots of metaphors in this text, though. There's more than one, I think. Oh well, maybe not actually.
There's a one that's clearer.
One really clear one, yeah.
Eventually, the snow becomes a thick white blanket.
Yeah,
is a clear one, definitely. Yeah. So again, we have this figurative way without saying like. So you could say the snow is like a thick white blanket, or
as heavy as
as heavy as a but in this case, we have a metaphorical instance.
Yeah. So there's one more thing that we're going to pick out. Find descriptions using senses in the text. So not just visual things. So all of those similes and metaphors, those were visual things, I think. But delicate as crystal could be tactile as well. But what
I think
language?
the metaphor in some way could be touch too.
It could be,
but that's the point with figurative language and metaphorical language, isn't it? That it kind of blurs the senses. And
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the simile is expressly visual because we've got look like, but
yeah,
if it were making the wearer like a clumsy, abominable snowman, that could be maybe tactile as well.
Yeah.
Although clumsy is quite a visual. Okay, as I keep forgetting, it's just me and you, Gabe. Okay. Language involving your senses. Well, the first one I can see, a deep chill settles in, a cold you can feel right down to your bones. And then that kind of continues. It's a cold that numbs the fingers and makes you want to sit near a roaring fire. So these are very I wanted another word other than tactile.
Other than tactile, in some ways, tangible. Available to the sense of touch. That's just a definition of tactile in a way.
Yeah. But they're to do with touch and feeling.
All images which are related to touch. Okay. Next. And then we've got a big one to do with sound further down. We have this this muffling idea, this comparison between the distance, the muffling of distant noises compared with the magnification of sounds nearby.
Yeah.
You can hear the snowflakes touching ground, and you can hear the scurrying of animals as well. There's a big, I think this last chunk is an aural.
Yeah.
Big aural description.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's a tactile one where it says the flakes cling to your eyelashes, causing them to stick together. So it's a bit different to feeling the cold, but it's another physical sensation.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see what we've
I think to some extent dusting of frost at the top as well. There's a kind of tangibility to that too. It's both visual, but it's tactile as well. Kind of dusting.
Yeah.
I think these are up for argument. All of these kinds of.
Yeah.
All of these ones. Envelops everything in sight. Okay, they've gone with very strict stock phrases, haven't they? Again, in a way.
Yeah, and they missed magnifies sounds.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of thing is not set in stone.
No.
All right. So here we have a definition of a simile. The example, it's as hot as a furnace outside. The sunlight felt like a warm blanket on her shoulders.
I like the extra descriptions.
Yeah. I didn't feel the need to read those out. Weather is hot, furnaces are hot.
Can you think of similes for each of the following? The water is cold. Oh gosh, my figurative brain is not switched on this morning.
No. I like doing this stuff, but I'm terrible at it. I can never think of examples.
They always seem contrived and a little bit forced as well.
I'll just be happy with if I can come up with anything.
Dear.
Okay, I've kind of got one. Go that first. I don't know if I'm kind of adding details to make my simile work.
Don't do a great one, because mine's going to look rubbish. I'm just going to pick one of them. Rain sounds loud.
Okay. This is mine for cold water.
You've come with a really long one there.
I had to extend it to make it work.
Water's cold.
I had this image in my head, and then I had
room into a bright winter morning. You've also obscured bright for the second.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Do you have one for the cold water?
No.
I thought you had a bad one. Do you have one for the next one?
No, because you did that one, kind of.
I didn't.
You blotted out the first two. Oh gosh, I'm trying not to do cliche ones as well, which is quite difficult. I hate having to force it.
And for the students at home watching, you need to be doing the same activity with us. We can't see your examples, but try and write some for any of these expressions that inspire you. Shall we could just, okay, so we've only got 4 minutes. So maybe we can pick and choose. In the summer, it gets very dry. The spring air smells nice. It's quiet when it snows. The rain sounds loud. Okay, I'm going to do one for the last one.
Okay. I was wondering if it might not be a good idea just to show the next. To show the comparison with metaphor.
The rain sounds like a herd of cows running on the roof. Not what I was going to go for. I think to say the spring air smells like flowers, that's not a simile. That, I mean, literally, the spring air smells like flowers. That's just a literal fact. That's not an image, is it?
No. You'd have to say the spring air smells sweet as a fresh bouquet or something, as sweet as a fresh bouquet or something like that. Like flowers.
That's just the same as saying smell of
It
flowers.
smells like there's garlic in the kitchen. There's garlic cooking in the kitchen. It's not a simile.
Okay. Well, okay, so we've got metaphors.
Okay. And just to quickly cover this, a metaphor is a comparison of two things without using like or as we did with similes. The snow is a white blanket. The summer grass is a soft green carpet. I'm
going to finish my rain simile quickly.
Does it involve a herd of wildebeest or something?
It does not. Well, I'm a little disappointed in myself now that I didn't come up with something a little more out there. Oh, I'm stuck now. I thought I had it.
Sorry, I'll sniff. I forget that I'm on camera sometimes.
I don't know if that really works. So my simile from before was the rain drumming on the roof was as soothing as the chatter on the radio or the warmth from the radiator. Have you got a metaphor, Gabe?
Yeah, I've got a terrible one. Okay, I'm struggling with, this is awful, but but it's a metaphor nonetheless.
The open lake was a still grave yearning for company. That's depressing, but yes. Okay, good. Yeah.
Good. Well, at least we covered some content there at the end, I think.
I'll just throw these ones up. Students can always.
The sun was a flamethrower, spitting heat. The stars were tiny holes in a black canopy sky. The breeze was a cool touch. The icy wind was a dagger through our clothes. The lake was a mirror reflecting the world. That's a lyric from. Isn't that a Velvet Underground lyric?
I don't know.
The sky was a watercolor painting. Did you hear about that Italian mayor who threatened university students who were planning going to parties with showing up with flamethrowers and driving them away.
Oh my god. A little extreme.
I can't remember where it's from, but somebody sent me a clip of that. All right, guys. We have to shoot off now. I hope that was useful in some way.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys.
Bye, everyone.